I know this looks bad.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're looking at hosts who left us saying, you know what, let's go to bed early tonight. We're not saying that all these hosts are untalented, but leaving them in charge of the late shift was a miscalculation.
You know something? It just isn't funny.
Number 10. Alec Baldwin. Up Late with Alec Baldwin. Having hosted SNL more times than anyone else, Alec Baldwin holds a significant place in late-night history.
A lot of people make a big deal about the record. I don't really care about that. It's not a competition. Because if it was, I've won.
Rather than utilize this knack for sketch comedy, though, Up Late was a political discussion series that found Baldwin at his most self-serious and pretentious.
I was an early supporter of de Blasio's, but the question remains, what can any mayor do about inequality on Wall Street's home turf?
The Daily Beast called the first episode a snooze, with Baldwin generating more attention with his off-screen behavior. Contrasting his composed on-screen persona, the actor got into multiple scuffles with the press, one incident containing a homophobic slur.
Come on!
Although Baldwin planned to do Up Late for a year, MSNBC put the show on hiatus before canceling it after 5 episodes. He didn't have much better luck in primetime 5 years later, with The Alec Baldwin Show airing 8 of its 10 episodes. Number 9. Pat Sajak. The Pat Sajak Show. Before CBS found their late-night savior in David Letterman, they spun the wheel and landed on Pat Sajak.
You know, a lot of people would crack under the pressure of a night like this. I mean, the eyes of millions, and we have the media, you know, looking in and watching every move I make. But I'm different. I cracked this afternoon.
No doubt that Sajak is a treasure of daytime TV, but game shows and late-night talk shows are two different beasts. Sajak wasn't built for the latter, lacking the sharp timing of Johnny Carson's Tonight Show and the hip factor that Arsenio Hall brought to his emerging series. Competition aside, the show's failings largely boiled down to Sajak, who seemed to coast his way through episodes.
I'm not nearly that good. Thank you, though.
It's not like Sajak had to try that hard, as his contract guaranteed $60,000 per week for 2 years, even if the show got canceled prematurely. That said, CBS cut their losses just before hitting the 300th episode.
Guys, have a great weekend. See you next week. Bye-bye.
Number 8. Alf. Alf's hit talk show. We'd like to think that a talk show hosted by the Tanner family's aliens started as a joke around the TV Land offices.
When TV Land approached me, well, let's be honest, they begged me to do this show, all right?
That joke slowly snowballed into a reality, and before anyone could pull the plug, Alf was already behind a desk with Ed McMahon as his sidekick. While Alf worked as a sitcom star in the 80s, his one-liners didn't translate well into his 2004 late-night show.
Full House. Had nothing to do with poker.
There is a certain novelty to the show's very existence, although listening to a puppet crack bad jokes with whatever celebrity guest they could find got old almost immediately. As for the hit part of the title, that all depends on whether or not you consider 7 episodes a success. Alf might, but we don't.
Maybe I'll get my own talk show on TV Land.
That's a possibility, because who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When this one's gone.
This one's gone. I didn't want to say that. I didn't want to jinx myself.
Number 7. Lily Singh. A Little Late with Lily Singh. Starting as a YouTuber, Lily Singh became the first openly bisexual woman of color to host an American late-night show.
I am so excited. I am so happy to be here. And by the looks of it, a lot of you are happy to be here too.
While reviews from critics were solid, the audience reception wasn't as glowing. A Little Late possesses one of the lowest ratings among IMDb users. Part of that might be due to review bombing, but it can also be attributed to the lack of laughs.
But I just want to say that if you're on the fence about becoming a vegetarian, I highly recommend it. You're saving animals, you're saving the planet, you're saving a lot of time at Thanksgiving. I'm just saying.
Singh has been funny in other projects, but she came off as uncomfortable here with much of the humor feeling forced and repetitive. Going from YouTube to TV, Singh acknowledged that there was definitely a struggle as she tried to mesh these two words together.
I was proud of you when you pulled over to help that driver on the way to Niagara Falls when I was 10.
This resulted in an uneven show that didn't come off as groundbreaking as it should have. Number 6. Greg Gutfeld. Red Eye, The Greg Gutfeld Show, and Gutfeld. Fox News is already kind of a joke, so adding a late-night comedy to this lineup isn't the worst idea.
We have the legendary actor Nicolas Cage. Great having him here. Big surprise.
Then again, Greg Gutfeld's attempts at political satire can't compete with the mind-boggling reality of something like Tucker Carlson Tonight, which was supposed to be taken seriously, we think. In any case, it's hard to differentiate Gutfeld's commentary from the rest of Fox News' content.
I could go through the examples of the violent felons sprung from jail thanks to bail reform, but there are so many of them that it would take up the entire show and bleed literally into the next hour.
Being on a conservative network, Gutfeld is in a position to offer a unique, edgy perspective that stands out from the rest of late night. Instead, his humor comes off as lowbrow as a comments section without being that biting.
Fact is, this country has big problems. Economy, crime, the border, Harry and Meghan. What are we going to do with them?
If anything, Gutfeld's hot takes feel ice cold compared to Fox News' craziest shows, which is the biggest offense. Number 5, Allan Thick, Thick of the Night. Between hosting a successful Canadian daytime series and becoming the Seaver family patriarch, Allan Thick experienced some growing pains as a late-night personality.
Good evening. Same to you, yes. Hello, all right. Thank you.
Reflecting on his ill-fated attempt to challenge Johnny Carson, Thick commented, "They said it couldn't be done, and we proved it." With a dull delivery, Thick did too good of a job by putting his audience to sleep.
Thank you for the dead bouquet.
Oh, you're welcome.
I'll put that in a dry glass.
The syndication series didn't have the clearest vision either, but Thick couldn't deny that he was part of the problem. When it was canceled after only a year, Thick felt a mix of disappointment and relief. While Thick admitted that the show was a dog, he appreciated that it brought him to the States, leading to new opportunities he'd be prouder of.
I can't be unhappy about a show that led me to the show I'm now doing, which is a wonderful success and has made my life terrific.
Number 4, Magic Johnson, The Magic Hour. The 90s were an interesting decade for NBA superstars. Michael Jordan met the Looney Tunes, Shaquille O'Neal became a rapping genie, and Magic Johnson joined the late-night war.
Michael Jordan, I know you're watching. You gotta send me some new shoes.
Weirdly enough, the last one sounds the most ridiculous. As lively as Johnson was on the court, he didn't make for the most charismatic host. The Magic Hour is remembered less for its host and more for guest Howard Stern, who wasn't above taking cheap shots at Johnson.
I'm not even sure this is television.
The only thing more awkward than Johnson's interactions with guests was his rapport with short-lived sidekick Craig Shoemaker. Stephen Colbert and Jimmy Kimmel were offered the sidekick gig, but they dodged a bullet. Johnson managed to perform one magic trick, disappearing from the airways in barely 3 months.
We'll be right back after this.
Number 3, Joe Buck. Joe Buck Live. At least the Magic Hour got 3 months. HBO gave Joe Buck the boot after 3 episodes.
I got on TMZ, my favorite website, and saw one of those ambush camera crews following you through some airport at some point in this country, and some point in your life, asking you ridiculous questions, poking the bear, just trying to make you make a mistake. And
like Johnson, Buck came from a sports background. Buck also learned what it's like to be overshadowed by somebody from the Howard Stern Show. In this case, guest Artie Lang cast an infamous shadow over Joe Buck Live, making crude comments about the host and Jessica Simpson.
Jason, when we talk about fame and we talk about being plucked out of nowhere, thanks.
You're a regular Bob Costas.
Although Buck didn't put these words in Lang's mouth, it became evident that the play-by-play announcer wasn't cut out for the talk show biz. Before the pilot even ended, he already lost all control. It wasn't long until HBO told Buck that they were moving away from talk shows.
God, put your feet down, for God's sake.
Hey, listen, I'm trying to get comfortable. Somebody should look natural on this show.
Buck knew, however, that if HBO liked his show, it would have continued. Number 2, Chevy Chase. The Chevy Chase Show. After trying to contend with Carson in the 80s, Fox got back into the late-night ring to see if they could rival Leno and Letterman, and there was just one host for the job, Dolly Parton. But since she wasn't interested, they went with Chevy Chase.
If I knew you were going to be this enthusiastic, I would have rehearsed.
Fox had high expectations, renaming the Aquarius Theater the Chevy Chase Theater. Chase might have been a scene stealer on SNL, but the audience for his first talk show was more amusing than its host.
We'll just pretend that I'm dancing in them.
With dated gags and an anxious presence, you wouldn't guess that Chase was a comedy legend based on his performance here. Chase was already coming off a few misfires, and with this show getting axed after 6 weeks, he never quite regained his A-list status.
I love all of you. Good night.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
Number 1, Russell Brand. Brand X with Russell Brand. Before we address the elephant in the room, we should probably ask, was Russell Brand ever funny?
I want to talk to you about the news. The bit of news I most want to talk to you about is this bit here.
And forgetting Sarah Marshall, sure, but it quickly became clear that a little of his over-the-top ramblings can go a long way. Nowhere was this more apparent than when his talk show provided an open mic. Most of the show's bits haven't aged well, most notably one entitled Totally Unacceptable Opinion.
Right, you shut the up. You calm down for a second.
Ironically, if somebody said that Brand X deserved a third season, most would probably find that opinion totally unacceptable, especially given the recent allegations against Brand. Controversy aside, Brand Obnoxious would have been a more appropriate title.
I'd love to go to another dimension.
Which late night host made you tune out? Let us know in the comments.
Now, I need to start out by pointing out that Russell Brand and I are friends.
Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.